All right, the election project. And this is something you can do individually or you can do it individually or you can do it by yourself. I don't care. When you think about a survey, what kind of questions do you think about? I wrote some down. What do you consider yourself politically? Republican, Democrat, or Independent? Now, one of my students in the class before, in the 120 class, said, could we put conservative, liberal, or libertarian? Or I said, yes. I said, but some people would not consider themselves either. And should you put a neither or put something to take care of, you know, and should you explain what, well, I'm sorry, you shouldn't have to, if you're given an adult, and that means 17, 18 years old or older, they should know the difference between a Democrat and a Republican and an Independent. If they don't, then that should answer the next question, which, do you follow politics? That's a question that you might want to think about putting on there. These are just suggestions. You can make your survey however you want. I want a minimum of 10 questions. Most people are going to put 10 and that's it. 10, and that's a good question. 10 good questions. What candidate are you going to vote for in the primary? Okay, now, if you're going to have two stacks, right? You're going to have Democrat and what? Republican. What about the Independent? Well, you can treat that as a third stack if you have a lot of Independents. I don't think you're going to have a lot in South Carolina, all right? But what candidate? And you might want to list all of them. You need to have two sides. You need to have Democratic side and you need to have Republican. Now, there's only two in the Democrat, and now there's only 11, 9, or 10 on the Republican side because you don't have to put Rand Paul because he's out. So you don't have to put him. You don't have to put Mike Huckabee. Mike Huckabee's out. So that leaves who? Let's see. Bush, Cruz, Rubio, Trump, Carson, Fiorina, Christie, and Kasich. Is that 8? Am I leaving out anybody? So it looks like there's 8 left, I think. I don't know. You don't have to put Gilmore. Gilmore's not going to get any votes. I don't know what he's doing. I think he's on drugs or something, starting now. And he's a good candidate. Got a great set of credentials, but he just started in the last debate. That's not very smart. Oh, Santorum, that's 9. Anybody else? And then, of course, Sanders and Bill the Burn and Clinton, liar. And I ain't got no use for her at all. I ain't got no use for her. I hope she gets indicted and gets thrown in jail. I like her husband, but I ain't got no use for her. She's a liar. And that's 3. That's 3 that you can use. I want to check on my handy dandy do-jigger. Hold on a second. Okay, there it is. I want to see what it looks like. Completed. Okay. You can play or what? Where? Right here? What? Whatever. Oh, the heck with it. I'll go ahead and download it. And y'all can see if y'all can get it to play. I don't know if it'll play or not. Stupid machine. Is that it right there? MP4. That's 120. Okay, so with the next set of questions, here's some other questions that you can ask. How old are you? Now, do you need to put a blank and then put their age, or do you need to put a set of classes? You need to put a set of classes. I would put 11 to 17, 18 to 24, I think, and then you figure them from there. 11 to 17, that's the one you need to start with, because I figured it up in the last class. 11 to 17. It's on the next page. You'll see them in just a minute. But you need to give them a B, C, or D. Most of your questions here should be A, B, C, or D, true, false, yes, no. You don't need to leave any subjectivity in there. You don't need to leave any opinions. Okay? Now, this is what the 120 class came up with. This is what is important to you as a voter. Now, the question here that students were asking in the 120 class is, should they be ranked? Should you pick the top 3? Well, that's up to you. You may want to do the top 5. You may want to do the top 2. You may want to do all of them. Put them in order. I wouldn't do that. That's just more work. But that's up to you. The first one is called foreign policy. You need to write that. I didn't write it because I was going fast when people were throwing out stuff. Foreign policy is the first one. Second one is immigration. Third one is unemployment. Economy and unemployment, you could put that as one. You could put employment / economy, and you could just use that as one if you wanted to. Healthcare, national security, social issues, Social Security, Medicare, world police. In other words, should the United States be the policeman of the world? And human aid to people that don't like us. In other words, giving money to Iran, and Iran is our enemy, and we just gave them $150 billion. Smart? Well, it's about like, giving you lunch money to your bully on the playground and then giving them your extra money that you have in your pocket. So here's my lunch money. You're going to beat me up if I don't give you my lunch money. But while I'm doing it, why don't I give you what's in my pocket? I don't care what you do on this question, but you need to ask that question because, some people, might do 4 or 5. You might want to pick the top 2. Pick 2. You may say pick 1. You may say pick 5. You're going to have to put it in order though. So you're going to have to put a blank beside it and put in order the top 5 or the top 3 using number 1, 2, and 3, and you're going to have to do the work. Okay. And what you would do is have a tally mark. You fill out how many people out of 100, how many people thought foreign policy, and you put tick marks beside foreign policy. 10. 15 said immigration. 20 said unemployment and economy. So the shorter you make this list, the less what? Less work. So you might want to combine some of them. National security could go with what? Immigration, maybe. National security and immigration, they fit hand in hand. World police and human aid, that can go together. Maybe all of that in foreign policy. Maybe all those 3 together. So it's up to you what you want to do there. This is just examples. Next one. Now, gender and race, that's a given. Why? Well, if you are running for president, would you like to know who's voting for you? Why? Exactly. So this tells us as spectators. Now some of y'all are like, well, who cares about this stuff? There's a lot of people that care about it. I was up till 12 o'clock. What night was it? Was it Tuesday night? When was caucuses? Monday night or Tuesday night? Monday night. I can't remember. But anyway, I was up to 12 o'clock because I wanted to see if Bernie Sanders was going to beat Hillary Clinton. I was hoping he would. There's two reasons I hope he would. Because I don't like her. She's a liar. And two, I think the Republicans will have an easier chance beating Bernie Sanders because he's a socialist. And I kind of like the guy because he's honest. I think he's very honest. He's kind of like Trump. He tells you the truth whether you like it or not. I think she's a liar. And race, yeah, I think it's interesting. Some people like this kind of stuff. Some people get into this kind of stuff. I do. Religion. I put a question mark beside religion because some people, I don't care about offending people, but some people might go, what does that have to do with anything? Well, some people, as far as candidates do, they want to know if you're evangelical versus atheist versus, the candidates like to know. But that could be a question that you could leave open. You could leave that open and say, you could leave it open and not tie anybody down by saying, where do you place yourself as far as your beliefs? And you could say evangelical, you could say atheist, you could say any of those words you want to come up with that describe a person believing in, what is it if you believe in a God? What is it, monolithic? If you're monolithic and that's it, or if you're evangelical, or if you're Roman Catholic, or which one, and you might want to have 5 choices. And that way you don't tie them down to Southern Baptist or Methodist or, some people don't like that. Some people don't like you tying them down to their denomination. They just like to know what type of spirituality you have. I make fun of Southern Baptists all the time because I am a Southern Baptist. So I make fun of them. So, yes. That's all right. Oh, yeah. Yeah, religion is a scary word. But people use the word religion. People use that. So let's just throw religion out and say spirituality. Okay? Where do you align yourself spiritually? You might want to be interested in that. I think it's interesting. Do you know one of the entry polls for the Iowa caucus the other night? Everybody was saying the evangelicals were going with Cruz. But what happened? It was split between Cruz, Trump, and Rubio. And the media was like, oh my God, people that are evangelicals like Trump? That's very judgmental. I mean, I can't stand when people judge other people. I can't stand that. All right? And people say, well, you're judging Hillary. But she lied. She lied. She plain out lied to those families of Benghazi. She lied to them. Her and Obama. They lied to those families saying that it was a video. It wasn't no video. That was a planned attack. Don't get me started. Anyway, the whole point is that the information that you're getting may surprise you. So spirituality, that's up to you. Education. Why would you want to know what kind of education or voting for who? Why would you want to know that? Target audience. Again, target audience. Is that what you were saying? Target audience. If you're a candidate, that's what you want to know. Well, then why do I want to know that? Well, as a statistician, I just think it's interesting to know these things. What about gender? Let's go back to gender. Lady, y'all might have seen her leave late a while ago, the blonde-headed lady. We were talking about that. She's got a very interesting scenario. she's in the nursing field, and she's not going to survey her classmates. She's going to survey the people at work. Well, that's a nursing field is 80% women, and I want to see what her totals are with gender, because everybody says that women are against Trump. Women are against Trump. I don't believe that's true. I've been to several events for Trump. I went to Anderson, I went to Charleston, I went to Greenville. And it was full of women. I mean, it wasn't all women, but I'd say probably 40 to 50% women were there. So what's the problem? I think in other states that may be true, but not in South Carolina, because you've got a conservative base in South Carolina. Men and women are usually conservative. And I think most of your genders, not race, there's a lot of people that I know that grew up in South Carolina that believe the same things I believe, as far as, and they're different colors, but they believe the same things I do as far as conservative values. But I don't care about conservative values when it comes to a president, because to me, the president should what? Protect the country. That don't mean does he believe in gay marriage. I could care less whether he believes in gay marriage or not, because that doesn't affect if somebody's going to bomb the crap out of us. Education, that's a good thing, and income. That's up to you. Those are 10 things that you can think about. If you want to use your own 10, do it. But what is the KISS method? I'm sorry. Keep it simple. Do not make extra work for yourself. Do not use open-ended questions. Do not use opinionated questions. Do not leave a blank and say, write a sentence on how you feel. Don't do that. ABC, 1, 2, 3, true, false, yes, no. Or Democrat, Republican. Keep it simple. Do not make extra work for yourself. Okay, now what are we going to do with this information? Well, it's going to be due on the, I think I wrote it down on here, the 22nd, I believe. I'll get to it in just a minute. But we're going to predict who's going to win the South Carolina primary, which is on the Saturday the 27th, I think. You'll have to look on the calendar. I think it's Saturday the 27th. Huh? What? Now this is Republican and Democrat. You're going to have 2 stacks of papers. All right? If you are, and I don't mean this, please don't take this the wrong way. If you're doing all your surveys at your workplace, then chances are you're going to have more Republicans than Democrats. Okay? If you're doing your research in the classroom, you're going to have more Democrats than Republicans. Why is that? Most Democrats, well, let's see, a lot of students are Democrats because they don't pay what? They don't pay taxes. And when they start paying taxes, they start thinking, wait a minute, this ain't right. And then they start saying, wait a minute, why should I give 30% of my check to these people? And then they start changing their views. Now, I'm not saying that's true in all the senses. There's different Democrats too. My grandfather was a diehard Democrat, but he was ultra conservative. There's 2 types of Democrats. There's a progressive Democrat, and then there's what? A moderate conservative Democrat. There's 2 types of Democrats, just like there's 2 types of Republicans. There's the right-wing nut jobs that I don't associate with, and then there's the moderate Republican. Moderate Republican and a conservative Democrat are about the same thing, and they are in that 70% range, most of them. Now, I'm not talking about social values. I could care less about that. I'm talking about strong military, keep us safe. I want to work. I want to make a living. I want to provide for my family. That's in the 70% range. Okay? The Bernie Sanders people, they're left-wing nut jobs. The racist people that don't believe we need to put, that's right-wing nut jobs. Those are 10%. Nobody associates with them too much. But we're going to predict who's going to win on the Democratic side, and we're going to predict who wins on the, and then we're going to watch, y'all are going to watch it, hopefully, You got some indication. Watch it that night and see what happens, and see how close your prediction is to the actual primary. And you're using your sample. Now, your sample, Ms. Boer's sample, may be at her workplace. Mr. Casey's sample may be all of his classes, which would be 4 or 5 classes times 3, or he may do some outside polling in the lobby, whatever he wants to do. He may get 100 people, she may get 75. The minimum is 30. Okay, minimum is 30. Of course, 30 is not going to tell you a whole lot. 100 will tell you a whole lot. That's why I put 100 up there. You may have 100, you may get 70 Republican, you may get 30 Democrat, and then of course the Republican side, you're going to put Rubio, Trump, and then you're going to tally up. And you're going to get percentages and figure out who's going to win in South Carolina by your sample. Okay? Of course, this is easy because out of the 30, you're going to get 15 that's going to go for Sanders, and you're going to get 15. You're going to get 15 because they're split right down the middle. If you watch how much did she win by in Iowa? 0.3%, yeah. She won by 4 delegates. 4 comes out to be so many votes, but that was not good. Okay, she should have took that state by 75%. She has got problems. Okay, I mean she does. She has problems. She should have took that state. Now, again, I think, and a lot of people say, well, why didn't Trump win? He was supposed to win. Yes, but there was 2 or 3 things that I think happened to Trump. Because polls don't lie. I think he's going to take New Hampshire by a landslide. Why? What's different? Closed voting. A caucus is like we're sitting in here right now and I ask you who you want to vote for. Why do people not like that? By what they feel or who they want to vote for. And in the caucuses, let's say that I take my kids, and my kids are 18 and 19. And I take my kids and I say, we're going to vote for Trump. Well, my kids are going to say, well, Daddy's going to vote for Trump. I better sit with Daddy. You know, of course they wouldn't, because my 19-year-old, she's very. I try to teach my children to make themselves knowledgeable on all the candidates, and she's a student, so she's all for free this and all for free that, even though I've tried to teach her that nothing is free. Anyway, I'm not going to say too much. She might look it up on YouTube and see I'm talking about her. But anyway, when she gets a job, she's going to see that nothing's free. But my son, he's a lot like me, and he's voting for Trump and Carson and Fiorina, and he's going for them. So, but a lot of kids are not like that. A lot of kids, and what you have to sit, and does anybody know in a caucus, you have to sit in a certain area. And, okay, Dad and Mom's going over to Trump. I guess we better go over there because we don't know who to vote for. That's the way a caucus is. So it's very open. It's very open to error. Did y'all see the video with Sanders and with the Democratic side, those people saying, oh yeah, we just counted, it was 4 votes for Sanders and 21 votes for, oh, are you sure? Yeah, we counted twice. Anybody could have walked up and said that. And she said, okay, well, you know, we got to be accurate. Yeah, I counted twice. It was 21 for Clinton and 4 for Sanders. And she wrote it down. So I think one of the worst ways we could do an election is with a caucus. That's awful. Did y'all hear what happened to Ben Carson? Yeah. Cruz, people just started saying to the people with caucus scores, Carson's dropping out. He's going back to Florida. So y'all need to vote for either Trump or Cruz. He was going back to Florida to get some clothes. He just left after the caucus had started because you can't do anything after it started. He went back home to get, and they said that, so Cruz started saying that, so he influenced people by saying that Carson was gone home. So there's a lot of things that went on during the caucuses that probably cost Trump. Okay? That's just my own opinion. I just think they suck. I think you're going to see Trump win by a landslide. Why? Because I like him? No. Because the polls are saying that he's leading by 30 points. And I think he's going to take it because it's a closed vote in New Hampshire, just as it is in South Carolina. I think he'll take South Carolina also. I think the caucus form of election hurt him in this one. But anyway, that's what we're going to be doing. Now, what else can you do? Well, this is what I want you to turn in. Monday on the 22nd, I want you to turn in a folder. Not a folder without, what do you call them little notebooks with the 3 little things in it? Huh? A binder. I want some kind of binder. I don't want you to turn in a folder that papers fall out. I want to either have one of those slip things on it, or I want you to, don't do a blue book, because some of you are going to use word processor and stuff like that. Don't do a blue book. Make sure it's stapled or something. I want it in a binder, really. Okay? Or one of those 3-thing binders, the little 59-cent ones, or the slide thing with clear plastic, something like that. I want you to turn in at least 30 surveys. Now, you don't have to turn in your surveys, okay? I want you to turn in a sample of your survey. Show me what questions you asked. Now, if you want to include your tally marks on those, that's fine. If I was you, I would just make that separate and just turn in a sample survey, just blank, and then have your tally marks on something else, or your data on something else. If you want to have it on a spreadsheet and print out the spreadsheet, that's fine. I don't care. You do it however you want to. The more organized, the more neat, and the better the presentation, the better your grade is. Most of you are going to make a 75 or better because it's more of a participation grade than anything. It's going to be a test grade. I'm going to make this a test grade. I want you to do it. A lot of people say, well, why are you doing this? Because I want people to be, some of y'all are going to fight even this because you don't want to watch the election. You don't want to do this because you don't want to be involved. Well, I'm making you involved. I'm forcing you to be involved because people need to be involved. So if you want to call it forced, then yeah, I'm forcing you to. Minimum of 10 questions on the survey. I don't want no more than, I mean, you can have more than 10 if you want. That's just more work. I don't want 5. Who you going to vote for? What's your name? How old are you? No, they got to be 10. Results for Democrat and Republican, that's paramount. Anything after that is up to you. I'd like to see you do one more thing. I'm going to show you an example of one more thing in just a minute. But this is paramount. That has to be in there. I want to know the results. I want you to put, and my research shows that these 2 people will be picked in the South Carolina primary. Okay, and you got to show me where your data is. Basically, just tally marks and percentages. Relative frequency is what they call it. So you have 100 people and you have 52 that's going to go for Trump. That's 52%. That's the relative frequency. And 48% is for Cruz. Then you say Trump is going to win first, Cruz is going to come in second, Rubio is going to come in third. Okay, although, yeah, that's probably going to be South Carolina. Either Rubio, Trump's going to be Trump, Rubio, or Cruz, or Trump, Cruz, Rubio. I think it's going to be Trump, Cruz, Rubio. But anyway, that's just my own opinion. And make sure you have it all neat and orderly. Turn that in on, if you don't turn it in, this is 0. I don't want to hear 12 dead grandmothers. I don't want to hear, you've got 2 weeks to do this. I think 2 weeks. I don't know. Y'all tell me. What's today? Today's the 3rd. You've got about 20 days to do this. 19 days or something like that to do this. That's plenty of time to put something like this together. Who do you want to there's a minimum of 30. So now, let me explain this to you because I don't want anybody going into Kathy Sadet's class and going, Hubert said I had to do this in your class. No, I didn't say anything like that. All right? How do you do this? If you want to do your classes, you go in, you ask your teacher before or after class, say, Hubert has me doing this project, and I need to pass out some surveys. Can I do this in your class? And if I can do this in your class, when can I do it? Why do you ask them if you can do it in their class? Because they have to give you permission. If they say, no, I don't want you doing it, Hubert's stupid, then you say, okay, thank you. If they say, yes, do it after class, then you do it after class. You need to get up to the class. You need to say, this is for my math project. We're trying to predict who's going to win. Please answer these questions. Do not put your name on it. Please answer as accurate as you can. And if you have any questions, please ask me. Now, are you going to have to educate yourself on what is a Democrat and a Republican and an independent? Yes. Do you want to put that in there? Yes. You can put the definition in there because there's going to be some ignorant people taking these surveys. And they're like, I don't know what I am. It's pathetic, but they don't know what they are. Okay? If you do it at work, I would highly suggest that you do it in a closed box type deal because people don't like for people to see what they're doing. If you want to go into the lounge, put a stack of papers in there and say, when you get through filling out, put it on the other side and just stack them up. People don't like that. So put a box in there, cardboard box, put tape on it, slit the tape or slit a hole in the box and tell them to put the surveys in there. They will do that a whole lot better than they will do put them on the stack. People don't like for other people to know their business. Okay? If you do it in the classroom, you're going to take it up so it doesn't matter. Make sure that you tell them it's anonymous. Make sure you tell them all you're doing is getting data. You don't know, try to tell them to do it all in pencil so you can't tell who did it in a red pen or not. Try to be as generic as possible. You want your questions to be yes, no, true, false, put in order, 1, 2, 3, Democrat or Republican. You want them to be simple. A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, yes, no, true, false. Democrat or Republican, whatever. Okay, do not have subjective, what is your opinion? Do not do those because you can't chart opinions unless you put it in an A, B, C format. What is your opinion on the president? Strong, A, B, working with other people, C, give everything away. I don't know what you're going to put for C. You can put anything you want to, but you have to put, in your opinion, it has to be A, B, or C. It can't be an open blank. Okay? Question on that. Now, what do? Here's another thing that you could do, and you need to write down these two formulas. This is the mean of a frequency distribution, and this is the variance of a frequency distribution. Now the other day, didn't we do a mean and standard deviation the other day? Okay, that was of test scores, like 15 test scores or 10 test scores. What's the difference in test scores and this? Well, this is a frequency distribution. This is a table. This is not data. This is classes. Now there's the classes that I gave you. 11 to 17, 18 to 24, 25 to 31, 32 to 38, and 39 to 45. Now you can put all the way up to 109 if you want to, but what I would suggest, try to figure out, let's say that Miss Moore does her work. Do you work somewhere, Miss Moore? Okay, well let's say she makes up a place. She works at the quick time, QT up here on Whitehall and 28 Bypass. And she knows for a fact that everybody that works in there is below 45 years old. Then she would go to 45. If Mr. Casey works at Billy Bob's greenhouse, and Billy Bob's greenhouse has 10 or 15 people that show up there are over 60 years old, then he needs to go up by 7s. So the next one, add 7 to 39. That would be what, 46? Add 7 to 45, that'd be his next, and then keep on going up. You got to think of the limits. Now, this would be good probably for classroom, because not many people are going to be above 45, except your teacher probably. And if the teacher do it, just tell them to put 45. You're in 45 group. Now, let's say that this is the breakdown, 30 people. I think there's 30. I think that's 30 right there. Let's say that you did 30 people, and this is your breakdown. There's 2 people that are 11 to 17. That means they're 17. There's 15 that are 18 to 24, and 25 to 31. You're not doing whether they voted or not. You're doing the age that what's your average age of the sample that you're doing. That's what I'm getting you to do. This is another thing that you could do, or you could do the percentage of Republicans to Democrats in your. That's another presentation. How many Republicans did you have? And put that in a relative frequency. So there's 75% Republicans, 25% Democrats in my data set, in my sample. You could do it with, you could do the same thing with socioeconomic, meaning income. Now you need to do the classes. You need to do 10,000 to 14,999 or 14,999, and then 15,000 to 19,999, and then 20,000 to 24,999, and then 25,000 to, you need to do that. Be careful though, because if you're doing students, what are students going to put? Boom. So you might want to be, are you a student? Are you a professional? Are you, I don't know what you put. Are you a non-professional, meaning dig a ditch? Or I don't know what you want to put there. Do you make less than $50,000 a year? Do you make more than $50,000 a year? And then that way you get your students by less than $50,000 a year. You see what I'm saying? So you need to think of the socioeconomic. You need to think of that. You need to think how you want to do that. But this is another one. Now, look at your formula for the mean. The summation of f times x over n. Well, f is your frequency. But what is x? X is your midpoint. So you've got to calculate the midpoint for all of your classes. So what's 11 plus 17? 28, Hubert. That's right, class. And what's 28 divided by 2? So there's x. The first one is 14. Then you add class width. Class width is what? 7. Add 7 to 14. Add 7 to 21. Add 7 to 28. Add 7 to 35. And there's your x's. Now, all you got to do is calculate the 2 formulas. So we'll do that with the Excel spreadsheet. Okay? Now, you need to know how to do this, because this is how you find your mean and standard deviation of your data. Okay? So let's go to our handy-dandy Excel spreadsheet. And I'm just going to type them all in. Pull this over here. Okay, whatever. All right, 11 to 17. 11, I'm just going to run, I'm not going to. And then 18 to 24. 25 to 31. 32 to 38. 39 to 45. Now the reason we have to have a midpoint is because we can't graph 11 to 17. You can't calculate 11 to 17. You can't do anything with that. So you have to do something. So the classes are not helping us. The frequency is 2, 15, 3, 2, 15, 3, 5, and 5. And we've got to calculate the midpoint. So that's equal to, parentheses, 11 plus 17, close parentheses, divided by 2. And then I'm going to say equals this plus 7. And that should copy down. There you go. So there is our data. This is our data right here. These two lines right here, that's our data, because the classes don't help us. All right, now look at your, what do you have to do for your mean? You have to take f times x and do what? Add them what? Add them up. That's what that big E is for. So we got to take f times x. We're going to have a table, right? I mean a column called f times x. And that's equal to, I'll do the first one for you. 2 times 14 is 28. And then you do those all the way down. And those are your numbers there. Now, what do you do to f times x? After you multiply it, what do you do? No. What's the big E mean? Add them up. So we take our handy dandy summation and we add all those up. And that is your numerator. I'm going to put that in yellow. That's your numerator. That's right there. So for my mean, I'm going to take that number, 812. Wait a minute, let me get this number. My n is summation of all my x's. Let's go ahead and get that number too. Should be 30. There it is. And I'm going to take 812 and divide by what? 30. And that's my mean. Alright, so we'll put that in green because that's very important. There we go. And we'll also put that in big border. Okay? Now, what do we need for our standard deviation? Well, we need our variance. What do we need? Well, f times what? F times x squared. And what do we need here? F times x. What do we do with it? Quantity squared and n. So which one do we not have? Which one of these do we not? Do we have f times x? Yeah, we just did that right here. What do we not have? That's not rhetorical, I'm asking y'all. We don't have f times what? X squared. So we need to make a column called x squared. So I'm going to make it right here, and I'm going to call it x squared. And the reason I'm separating it is just to get it away from the other stuff. And I'm going to take x, and I'm going to square it. And I'm going to copy that down. And then I'm going to bring f over again. Now, you don't have to do this, but I'm doing it because I just want to. And what are we going to do? F times x squared. What are we going to do with those? I'm sorry, what? We got to multiply them, right? That's what it says. F times x squared, and we're going to add them up. So here, F times x squared, and that's equal to this times this. And then we're going to add that number up. And that, we're going to color that blue. So our blue color is right here. Oops. Let's do this. There's our blue. Trying to do this where y'all can see everything, so just bear with me. And here is your yellow. And of course our N, we need to make this kind of an orange color. And we'll make this kind of an orange color. So we've got all we need to do what? Plug and what? Plug and chug, Hubert. That's right, class. Thank you for interacting. Appreciate it. So, I'm going to go ahead and make this big now. And pull it over a little bit. There. So, I'm going to go down here and I'm going to say variance is equal to N. What is N? 30. And I'm going to multiply that by what? The summation of f times x squared. Which one is the summation of f times x squared? This guy right here, the big number. Blue, orange, minus. The reason I'm writing minus is because if I put a subtraction symbol, it's going to want me to put a formula, so I don't like that. Okay. And it's equal to the yellow, but what am I going to do to the yellow? I'm going to what? I'm going to square it. Right now I'm just plugging and chugging. And all that's over this number times this number minus what? 4. And now all you got to do is calculate. Variance is equal to this number times this number minus this number raised to the second power divided by 30 times what? 29. And now the variance is equal to this guy minus this guy over this guy. And the variance is equal to this guy divided by this guy. Now we don't care about the variance. What is the standard deviation? The square root of the variance. So this guy raised to the 0.5 power. So our standard deviation is 9. So we got a mean of 27. and a standard deviation of what? Equals this number plus 9. I'm just going to round it to 9. Oh, there ain't no such thing as 0.99 years. So what's 9 plus 36? 45. And what's 9 plus 45? Thank you. 27 minus 9. Dang old 18. 18 minus 9 is 9. 9 minus 9 is 0. Now, why would 0 be an outlier? Because you ain't born yet. So 95% is going to fall between 9 years old and what? 45 years old, Hubert. That's right, class. Now, what's different in this and what we were doing Monday? Well, what we did Monday, you took test scores, 22, 25, 26, 23, 24, and you what? Found the mean and standard deviation. But you've been doing that ever since the 3rd, 4th grade when you were trying to figure out your grade. This is not test scores. This is a what? Frequency distribution. You've got classes and you've got frequency, a head count. What's different? Well, in a data-driven 19 years old, 20 years old, 21 years old, 21 years old, 23 years old, 24 years old, 25, 29, 107, 28, okay? I gave you a list of ages. What's the difference here? Here, I don't give you a list of ages. Here, I gave you a what? I gave you a table with what? Classes and what? Head count that's in that. So you see the difference? There's a difference. And you got to know how to find the mean and the standard deviation of a frequency distribution, and that's what I just showed you. With this formula and with this formula. Now, why did I do it on the Excel spreadsheet? Because I want to force everybody to do it on the Excel spreadsheet. No, I did it on the Excel spreadsheet because it's more organized on a board. That's why I did it on the Excel spreadsheet. All right? In other words, everybody can see these numbers because they're all the same what? They're all the same size and they're spaced out. If I was to write all this, it'd take me 3 boards to write all this because I write so big and scraggly. Okay, so that's why I do it for organization. So if you don't have any clue how to use the Excel spreadsheet, that's fine. You just do this by hand. You make a column here, make a column here, you multiply, make a column there, add them all up, add all these up, make an x squared, do this in your calculator, 14 squared, 21 squared, 28 squared, 35 squared, 42 squared, you get those numbers. Bring over F, just like I did. I just did it separately. You don't have to do that. And then I multiplied it right here. 2 times 196 is 392. I add those up, and that's that number right there. 30 goes right here. 812 goes right here, and you just start calculating. So you can do it by hand. So you can do this with your ages, and you can do it with socioeconomic as long as you have classes over here. You got to have classes. Classes don't mean 50,000 and below and 50,000 and above. You got to put 19,000 to whatever, 10,000. You can do 10,000 or 15,000 to 1999, 999, then 20,000 to 24, 999, and 25,000 to 29, 999. You're going to have to think about it. All right. So y'all may skip that question. I don't know. I would put some kind of question there. Would you consider yourself blue collar, white collar, unemployed? You could do that. You know, most people know if they're blue collar. I'm blue collar and white collar. I'm white collar because I have a teaching job, but I'm blue collar because when I leave here, I work on the farm, so I'm both. Okay? And I was raised blue collar. Farming is about as blue collar as you can get besides ditch digger. Okay? That's about as blue collar as you can get. I'd say probably the next person that's blue collar to a farmer would be industry / factory worker. Or vice versa, they can switch places. So, you know, you could do that if you wanted to. Blue collar, white collar, unemployed. Or don't want to work, retired, whatever you want to put. All right, who has questions? All right, who has questions about anything? Yes. I'm sorry, do you mean to pull it back up? Okay. Standard deviation, right here. I just rounded it to 9 because there ain't no such thing as 8.95 years. It's either 8 or 9 years, okay? So I just used 9. And I just added it. Now, you really don't need this one or this one because most standard deviations goes to 2. 2 on each side because that's 95%, the normality. Okay? Now, does that mean you have 9-year-olds voting? No. It means that between the ages of 9 and 45, 95% of your data is going to fall between those numbers. Okay, who else has questions? Y'all don't have any questions about the project? Okay. I'm going to hold you to it. Yes, sir. On this video. Yeah. Yeah, that thing that y'all never watch, yeah. All right. Let me stop this video. Hold on just a second. I want to stop this one because I want to... What is that? Is that the second one? Yeah, stop recording. Well, I want to process this one. It takes 15 minutes, so I can call the roll while this one's processing. I think that's this one right here, right? Yeah. When it stops processing, I can fix it. And stop this one also.